Rstv, bring you the news as it is.
Today on our Rstv News at 3, Nigerian Labour Congress cancels May Day celebrations in Rivers, Edo State. Senate urges urgent budgetary reform, advocates results-based budgeting for Nigeria economic revival. And Chief of Civil Military Affairs Army, Major General Chibuisi, warned civilians against illegal wearing of military uniforms. Good afternoon, my name is Seberi Ainda. Do you love and care about Rivers State and peace? Let's build and take her to greater heights. This is a task we must all accomplish. And now the news. The Administrator of Rivers State, retired Vice Admiral Ibok Ete Ekwenzibas, has restated the determination of his administration to sustain genuine efforts that promote educational development and honoring of sporting talents among Rivers youths. Vice Admiral Ibas gave the assurance when he hosted on a courtesy visit the leadership of Unity Schools All Students Association, USOSA, led by its President General Michael Ibrahim Magaji at the Government House in Port Harcourt. Tom Nobrabi Bulbo has details.
The association just concluded its third edition of Sports Festival in Port Harcourt and were in Government House to express gratitude to the administrator and commend him for the prevailing peaceful atmosphere. Rivers State Administrator Ebok Etek Ekwebas noted that sports fosters an enriched sense of community, builds unity, and offers holistic development of the individual. He said a sports festival organized by the association has contributed some socio-economic benefits to the state while promoting health, well-being, and social cohesion within the state. Vice Admiral Abbas urged other groups to consider hosting their events in the state because it is peaceful and promised that government will continue to partner such groups in order to attract more development to the state.
The objectives of setting up Unity Schools is very clear: to continue to build unity within the nation, irrespective of tribe, religion, or social belonging. And so what the USOSA has just demonstrated, a conviction of their belief in our country, Nigeria. In organizing these sports, you can also imagine the social and economic impact that they have made to the state. They have also assured the world that Rivers State is safe as a territory and part of Nigeria. And so if we, Nigerians, believe in the unity of this country, I think others will also want to follow and emulate.
The administrator also noted requests made by the President General of the Association for intervention in rehabilitating some structures within the Unity Schools located in the state and promised that it will be given considerations.
Rivers State is known for its very liberal posture when it comes to supporting events and sponsoring activities. I think, if I'm not mistaken, perhaps this is one state that I know that people rush to host their events. And so, as it's been done in the past, we will continue to support any activity or events that will bring development to Rivers State.
In his speech, the President General of the Unity Schools All Students Association, USOSA, Michael Mogaji, said Rivers State is peaceful and they are delighted to host the third edition of their sports festival to promote unity, enforce collaboration, and peace. Tamun Nobarabi Iblubo, Rstv News.
In line with its mission to spread love, hope, and connect people in every field of endeavor, a non-governmental organization known as Women at the Well of Living Water as well has extended its community service to the Old People's Home, Port Harcourt. Justice Ihuo was there and filed this report.
The group, led by the president of WOW USA and matron of Port Harcourt, Reverend Miriam Moore, donated food items and cash to the elderly in the home, as well as prayed with them.
If you know you love Jesus, clap your hands. Now what one? If you know you love Jesus, clap your hands.
Reverend Moore said the visit is a tradition of the organization and emphasized the need for the society to cater for the elderly.
This has been it's almost like a tradition for us that we come and visit the elderly, because one day we're going to be old too, and we want to sow where we can reap, so that people can come and visit us when we are also there. So the reason why today is that on behalf of WOW and Hope for the Heart, we've come as a tradition. It's natural to us, as you can see, it's a natural thing. That's why we're here, to love on them, to give them hope, to give them the living water.
Also speaking, the president of WOW River State, Penny Ibemesi, thanked the founder and CEO, Jessica Edmond, for the vision of WOW and her commitment to empowerment, networking, community support, and giveaway, among others. She said the visit has elevated the spirit of the elderly in the home and expressed the commitment of WOW to reach out to the less privileged and the abandoned in the society.
Our duty is to reach out to all the less privileged, those who are in lonely places like these ones. Some of them have been forgotten by their families, are just being dumped here. So what this visit does is to show them they're still being loved, they're still being known. We said inside, if your children have abandoned you here, no, don't feel bad. We are your children. That's why we are here. And it's part of our work. The work of WELL is reaching out to less privileged, reaching out to women who are abandoned, women who are going through emotional stress, who have been traumatized. We bring them in, give them hope, let them know it's not over.
Other leaders of the group also expressed their feelings about the visit, outlining some of the functions of the group.
I pray that God will continue to help us to help them out on them. But thank God for those people who bring out themselves to make a provision for them, to be able to take care of them.
We have three cardinal things we want to do in WOW: training, skills, and then we empower you.
Justice Ihuo, Rstv News.
Easter comes with worship, praise, and fanfare or sports. But what are the basic reflections and expectations of the season? God's power nearly examines the affirmation of the most remarkable sacrifice made by the Lord Jesus Christ. His report.
The supreme price paid by Jesus Christ for the salvation of the souls of mankind seemed not to be enough to obey his commandments, particularly in the acquisition of wealth through inordinate means perceived to be the second crucifixion. During the Holy Week, Christendom were meek, prayerful, holy, and dedicated to the business of God, but thereafter, what are the typical lifestyle of the same people after the celebrations? Senior Pastor Stephen Amadi lent his voice to address the concern.
Today is the first Sunday after Easter, and it's also a moment of reflection. But the question now is, after Easter, do you go back to your former life? Do you return back and forget all the teaching that you have received? When Christ met with Judas on that day that Judas was betraying Jesus Christ, Christ called him my friend in Matthew 26:50. So the question now is, as children of God, what do we do to continue what Jesus Christ has laid as a lifestyle? He gave his life as a sacrifice. How do we continue to build a bridge of peace between one another? How do we continue to help one another, to show them love, to encourage them to see that what Christ has suffered is not in vain?
Other ministers harped on giving back to Jesus Christ and the society in immeasurable ways.
In your life today, ask yourself, am I allowing the will of God to prevail over my will, over my ego? As we ponder over this world, I see God honoring us as individuals, in our families, in our businesses, in our service area.
Jesus died on the cross of Calvary and resurrected so that we will walk in the newness of life. One of the things we will do is to care for one another, as himself cared for us and died on the cross of Calvary. One of the things that Jesus is expecting us to do is for us to go out there and win souls for him, and by doing that we will actually make him to be happy.
As Christians, after the Easter resurrection, is that if our leaders can live Christ-like life, who came not to be served but to serve, we leave our old nature of sin, nature of fighting, quarrel, cheating and corruption, and resurrect into new life of integrity.
Christian Faithful also said that believers of the gospel are expected to reawaken weak members, show love to the needy, shun greed and evil activities in order to win more souls for him.
Even if we have ended the Easter celebration, we should always remember the things that Christ did for us there on the cross. He said, "Mother, behold thy son. Son, behold thy mother." He was talking about you and I taking care of each other. If your brother or sister is going down in faith, look for a way to encourage that brother, to encourage that sister. And by so doing, we will be reflecting the death of our Lord Jesus on the cross of Calvary.
When Christ made the highest sacrifice on the cross of Calvary, that's love that nobody will be able to give. Remove greed. You have to make sacrifices for others.
Because they like to gather things for themselves, but forget what Solomon said. He said, vanity upon vanity. Now we as Christians, we should emulate his words. The rich should remember it's God that giveth wealth, not to oppress the poor.
Jesus' crucifixion is expected to make his followers reflect on his good deeds by expressing kindness and undiluted love to others. God's Power Anele, Rstv News.
Do you love and care about River State and her peace? Let's build and take her to greater heights. This is a task we must all accomplish. And now ahead on the news at 3, Putin announces 3-day Russian ceasefire in Ukraine from 8 May and conclave to elect new pope to begin on 7th May. Details and more will come your way after the break. Do stay with us.
This is Rstv World News. We bring you world-class news, accurate, first-hand, entertaining, balanced analysis. Rstv, Channel 22 Port Harcourt.
Thanks for staying with us. And now the rest of the news. The presidency has reacted to insinuations in the opposition circles that Nigeria's democracy has currently threatened under the watch of President Bola Tinubu, and the country was tilting towards a one-party system. In a statement by presidential spokesperson Bayo Onanuga, the presidency dismissed accusations that the Tinubu government was inching towards authoritarianization. Insisting that democracy was not under any threat, the presidency further rejected claims that the country was being turned into a one-party state amid defections to the ruling All Progressive Congress (APC) by members of leading opposition parties. The statement stated that under Tinubu, democracy was waxing stronger, with multi-party democracy making waves. Puncturing accusations by those it called disgruntled opposition politicians that government was moving towards authoritarianism, the presidency stressed that Tinubu and the leadership of APC deserved commendation for making the ruling party viable and attractive to all Nigerians, willing to participate in the democratic process. The Senate, through the chairman of its Committee on Finance, Senator Mohammed Sani Musa, has called for urgent budgetary reform that would adequately address the nation's current social and economic challenges. Senator Musa is a delegate representing Nigeria at the ongoing string meetings of the World Bank and International Monetary Fund in Washington, D.C. The Senate panel chairman, according to a statement from his media office, stated this on the sidelines of the Investors Forum in the U.S. He specifically urged the executive arm of government to initiate Nigeria's long overdue transition to a results-based budgeting system. He emphasized that monetary reforms must be complemented by urgent and far-reaching fiscal reforms to sustain the momentum. He specifically called on the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edu, to work collaboratively with the Minister of Budget and National Planning, Senator Atiku Badagu, to initiate the Nigeria's long overdue transition to a results-based budgeting system. And now the federal government on Sunday issued a strong warning to Nigerians over the growing menace of cyber slavery, a rising form of human trafficking, increasingly targeting young people across the region. In a statement by Ministry spokesperson Kimiebi Ibienfa, Minister of Foreign Affairs Yusuf Tugar expressed deep concern over the alarming number of Nigerian youths being lured abroad under false pretenses and forced into cybercrime operations under inhumane conditions. According to the ministry, many of the victims, including underage teenagers, are enticed with offer of high-paying jobs, particularly in the crypto industry. Upon arrival abroad, they are trafficked into what are now described as sophisticated scam operations and held against their will in what is now known as 419 cyber scam factories. The Chief of Civil Military Affairs Army, Major General Gold Chibisi, has warned that civilians caught wearing military uniforms illegally risk arrest and prosecution in line with Nigerian law. Speaking during a media chat with newsmen in Abuja, Chibisi reiterated that while it is unlawful for non-military personnel to don military attire, the Nigerian Army does not condone violence against offenders. The Army Chief, however, said soldiers have no right to harass any civilian caught wearing the military uniform, saying several soldiers had been sanctioned for mishandling civilians found in military gear, stressing that professionalism must guide all enforcement actions. Chibisi appealed to the public to respect the military uniform, warning that the increasing misuse of military apparel by criminals was making it harder for civilians and security agencies to distinguish genuine soldiers from imposters. He called on families and communities to discourage the illegal wearing of military uniforms at home and in public spaces. The Nigerian Labour Congress has announced the cancellation of centralized May Day celebrations in Rivers and Edo states, citing the imposition of emergency rule in Rivers and alleged political interference in the affairs of its Edo State Council. The national leadership of the NLC directed all affiliate industrial unions in Rivers State to limit the May 1st Workers' Day celebrations to the state NLC Secretariat. The NLC strongly opposes the emergency rule in Rivers State, which involved appointing a sole administrator, and has called for the reinstatement of the elected government. In the letter to Rivers State NLC Chairman Alex Egwanwo, the NLC stated that the Congress has finalized arrangements to mark the day with a theme, Reclaiming the Civic Space Amid Economic Hardship, to be observed across the 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory. Given the peculiar circumstances surrounding the subversion of democratic governance in Rivers State, the occasion calls not for fanfare, but for critical reflection on the need to restore democratic governance and prioritize the people in leadership. Now on the foreign scene, at least 68 African migrants have been killed in a U.S. airstrike in a detention center in Houthi-controlled northwestern Yemen. Al Masira reported that Another 47 migrants were injured, most of them critically, when the center in Cedar province was bombed. There was no immediate comment from the U.S. military, but it came hours after U.S. Central Command announced that its force had hit more than 800 targets since President Donald Trump ordered an intensification of the air campaign against the Houthi on 15 March. It said the strike had killed hundreds of Houthi fighters and numerous Houthi leaders, including senior officials overseeing missile and drone programs. Houthi-run authorities have said the strike have killed dozens of civilians, but they have reported few casualties among the group's members. The migrant detention center in Sada was reportedly holding 115 Africans when it was hit on Sunday night. And now one of our stories. Cardinals will meet next month in a sacred conclave to elect next pope. The Vatican says the closed-door meeting will start inside the Sistine Chapel on 7th May and will involve some 135 cardinals from across the world. It follows the death of Pope Francis, who died at the age of 88 on Easter Monday and whose funeral was held on Saturday. Vatican spokesman Matteo Bruni said cardinals will take part in a solemn mass at St. Peter's Basilica, after which those eligible to vote will gather in the Sistine Chapel for the secretive ballot. Once they enter the Sistine Chapel, cardinals must have no communication with outside world until the new pope is elected. Russian President Vladimir Putin has announced a temporary ceasefire in the war in Ukraine. The Kremlin has said the ceasefire will run from the morning of May 8th to May 11th, which coincide with victory celebrations to mark the end of World War II. In a statement, it said Putin declared the ceasefire based on humanitarian considerations. Ukraine has not yet responded. The Kremlin announced a similar 30-hour truce over Easter, but while both sides reported a dip in fighting, they accused each other of hundreds of violations. Now, Alexander Usyk and Daniel Dubois have confirmed they will fight again for the undisputed heavyweight championship in July. Both fighters posted details on the bout on Instagram, confirming an earlier report that the fight will take place on July 19 at London Wembley Stadium. The British fighter, who holds the IBF belt, had been pushing for a rematch since Usyk stopped him in the 9th round of a controversial first fight between the rivals in Poland in August 2023. It was halted in the 5th round for what the referee ruled a low blow by Dubois that sent Usyk to the canvas, with replays showing the punch hitting around the Ukrainian's belt. It was not given as a knockdown, nor points were deducted from Dubois, and Usyk was given time to recover. The 38-year-old Usyk holds the World Boxing Association, World Boxing Council, and World Boxing Organization's belts and is undefeated as a pro. That sports story wraps up our bulletin for today. Do you love and care about Rivers State and her peace? Let's build and take her to greater heights. This is a task we must all accomplish. My name is Ebere Ada. Many thanks for being a part of the news, and good afternoon.